Hello! I have a few extra things. These are the ones I've actually paid for to show you. And an extra one that I've left on the end that I was just playing myself. We'll probably skip that one. Basically, I paid my own money to show you these, so look grateful. First up is Kineo, which I loved the idea of. It is a little sketch pad where you can draw an exciting stick man whose legs come off, holding up his mobile phone in order to call an ambulance to get somebody to fix his leg. But then you press plus, and it fades because it's an onion skin flipbook animation-y thing. You can then trace over, change something slightly, and play it back for your amusement. Can I hold that in? No. You get the idea. Usually they'd have more than 2 frames. Yeah, it's quite a nice little thing. I didn't realise when I bought it, though. It's remarkably limited. You've got very basic tools. In fact, you can just draw in different colours, and that's your lot. No fills or gradients or anything pretty for you, sir. Also, it is a bit awkward drawing on the touch screen with your finger, really. It is hard to actually get the lines to go over the ones you've drawn before. When we do that, go on to the next one. Yeah, not too bad. Let's try a circle again, or a wibbly shape. Much more difficult. I apologise if I've gone out of shot there. Nobody can still see what's happening, but I was watching the proper screen, not the viewfinder there. Anyway, here's an animation I did last night. Ready? It's inspired by Street Fighter. There we are. If anybody at Disney is watching and wants to give me a job, you're mental. Right, that's that. It wasn't worth the money, frankly. It just doesn't feature enough options. But it's still relatively cheap. I think it's £1 something or other. Now, this one is the full-on iPad 3D game that I just had to put on it, because, you know, it's a bit unfair not to show one. Bruce Lee, Dragon Warrior. Bless his heart. He's been dead all these years, but let's still exploit him. Digital Legends Entertainment, indie games. Yeah, get on with it. Basically, it, well, looks an awful lot like Tekken. Doesn't play much like it, because obviously you've got kind of fairly limited control systems, to say the least. Let's have a bash. The graphics are interesting. They're technically quite nice, you know, for a mobile device, you know, proper texture map and relatively high res is all good. But they seem to have made the ugliest faces I've ever seen in a video game. Bruce himself looks like a complete mutant. I've never seen anything like it. That's half the reason I want to show you, to be honest. Let's just go arcade. Can't be faffing around with story modes. Bruce Lee, see, he looks good. Who else is there? Shen Lo. He's got a slightly dodgy face. Let's go for good old Brucey. Fight. Oh, we're fighting Lo Ming. He's got a helmet on. That's a bit unfair, isn't it? I don't know. There's no rules on these video games. Here's old Bruce. Watch the face. Yep. Slightly worrying. Okay, he's a bit odd. Go. Give him punches. What's wrong with Bruce's trousers? You see that? He's got sort of webbing between them. Didn't notice that before. I think he's wearing something different when I played it. Anyway, as you can probably guess, it's not the most easily controllable. My goodness! That's fantastic. Look at the animation as he walks backwards. Look at the legs! Oh, that's brilliant. This game has just gained 20 points for me. Make the players dance in a strange manner. Some really brutal moves in this, by the way. Yeah, lots of sort of stamping on people. The throws are quite nasty as well. Here we go. Watch Brucey's face. Oh. I thought that one gave you a close-up of his face. I was wrong. Can I do another throw? Nope, I can just sort of kick ineffectually. Oh, he's stunned. When they get stunned at the end, you get to perform a sort of semi-fatality type move on them. Here we go. Watch the face. Look at that. Is this game deliberately made to sort of upset Bruce Lee's family or something? Have they never seen a human face? It's terrifying. And to be honest, it doesn't really play that well. They've been sensible in that they've cut down the amount of moves, because, I mean, with limited controls, that would be a nightmare. But, oh my goodness, look at that. Crikey O'Reilly. Hello. You've got a bad scar on your face, mate. You need some laser surgery or something on that. I want to run backwards and watch his legs. Hee! Oh, kicked for that. That'll teach me. Yeah, it's not the greatest game in the world, to be brutally honest. After you've been playing it for a bit, you get more used to the controls. You can actually pull some stuff off. But, I don't know, a lot of it just feels a bit airy-fairy still. You never fully feel as if you're in control of it. If you're into this sort of game, really, you'll have yourself an Xbox or a PlayStation 3 and a much better system of control for it. Can I do another throw? Go on. No, I can't seem to... Go on, do the throw. I want to show them the terrifying face he pulls. Here we go. Good grief, imagine that coming up into a dark alley. Also, he just broke his back and he hardly lost any energy. Not particularly realistic. Anyway, the final game is something I downloaded for my own amusement called Strategy, which I'll briefly show you, I suppose. It is... needs portrait. It is a game remarkably similar to an online flash game called Dice Wars, if you've ever seen it, but slightly upgraded and betterer. And to be brutally honest with you, it doesn't do a whole lot for the iPad, because due to the way it works perfectly well on the iPhone. As you can see, not used a whole lot of the screen there. You can have bigger fights, but that's about it. Anyway, it's quite a nice little game, and it's quite cheap, and has nothing to do with this iPad review, so please ignore it. Oh, goodness me. So, let's try and draw this meandering demonstration together with some sort of conclusion, even though most people made their minds up about the iPad before it was even released. Okay, well, it's designed to sit alone, isn't it, in a complete new niche, sitting somewhere between a smartphone and a computer. But... well, they say it couldn't take the place of a computer because it's so limited. But if you're somebody like my dad, who only just sort of looks at the internet occasionally, I mean, he doesn't even use email, it's a fantastic way for him to just look at the internet really easily. But if you think about it, the old PC and Mac, you're using two control devices for one machine, aren't you? You've got your keyboard and your mouse you're using simultaneously. What this helps to do is kind of unify those two together. So you're just poking the screen and, you know, if you do need a keyboard, it comes up and you poke the screen to use that. And it did seem a lot easier for him when he used it, because computers do confuse him, bless him, because, you know, he's never really had any contact with them. However, Apple certainly don't seem interested in marketing this as a computer replacement for old people, mainly because when you get it home, you have to plug it into iTunes before it will work. Why? I have no idea. That seems absolutely ridiculous. There must be some thinking behind it, but I couldn't even begin to fathom what that is, frankly. And of course, even most old people will want to print a letter occasionally, and as of the moment, there is no printing support at all for the old iPad. It is coming, apparently. In fact, I think Steve Jobs himself has personally confirmed it. However, how will they implement it is the question. I can't imagine them having hundreds of printer drivers. It's going to have to be something Bluetooth or wireless. Ooh, I don't know, it seems a bit iffy. I really hope they don't release their own proprietary Apple printer or something. I mean, good grief, imagine how expensive the ink cartridges would be. Anyway, it ain't going to replace your PC, obviously, even if you're old, really, I suppose, which is a bit of a shame. Is it going to replace your smartphone? Of course it bloody isn't. Smartphones are small things you can take with you everywhere. This isn't. So that kind of cuts that one out. But as it stands, it is a lovely device to use for looking at the internet, as long as you don't want to look at any flash animations, which breaks my heart a bit because I absolutely love animation. I spend a lot of time on Newgrounds and sites like that, just looking at these ideas people have come up with and made. You ain't going to be doing none of that, unfortunately. And if you're using it for any sort of work purposes, getting files on and off is a bloody nightmare. Hopefully they'll, I don't know, open up their Mobile Me service to have a sort of free component or something to actually help you get things on and off it. That would make sense. At the moment, Dropbox, as we said earlier, is probably your best bet. I don't know, there's something about using it where it does feel too bloody locked down and awkward at certain times. You half expect to, you know, suddenly the screen to turn on one morning and just have a picture of Steve Jobs' face glaring at you with contempt. It's, I don't know, it's a funny thing to use on that level. But as long as you're using it for looking at the internet and stuff and not a whole lot else, it's bloody lovely. So, now we get into the question of how much does it cost? Oh dear. This particular model, the absolute Billy Basic one, is £429. Would I spend £429 on this device? No, I bloody wouldn't. I wouldn't even consider it. In fact, I probably wouldn't even consider it for half that. However, you do have to take into account that I never ever look at the internet while sitting on the couch or anything, or email on the couch, or anything on the couch apart from watch the telly occasionally, really. So for me, it doesn't have a whole lot of use. In fact, in the time I've had it, I've really just shown a lot of people, played around with a few apps, and that's it. It actually sat virtually unused for 2 days. It's certainly not something I would be spending an awful lot of money on. If, however, you make a lot of train journeys, you would probably be wanting the next one up, actually, with the 3G components for £529. So we're talking real money there. I don't know. I suppose if you've got an awful lot of disposable income and a specific use for it, then you could buy far worse things with your money. In fact, I tell you what, you could probably buy one, see if you use it for a bit, and if you don't use it enough, sell it on for virtually no loss, because I imagine, like pretty much all Apple products, this will keep an incredibly high second-hand value for the short-term future. In fact, possibly even quite a bit at the start, because it may be one of these things where people want to get hold of one and they can't, and they're buying them off eBay for more than they go for new, Don't hold me to that, but you could use that as a sort of try before you buy feature if you're a rich man. Personally, by the time you see this video, I will probably have already sold it, because I don't need an iPad, but I do need a new oven. And I could get a nice new oven and probably about £100 change towards next month's rent out of that. So overall, it's nice, but it's pricey, and it's limited in what it does. Maybe it will open up in the future with more jolly apps. I would certainly like to see some iPad-specific games that aren't a bit weak. That would be excellent, actually. The old iPhone gaming scene has really come on leaps and bounds. As I say, you have to sort of sidestep all the crappy ones that are obviously just a flash game they're clashing in on, all the ones with bad control systems. Things like, there's a Commodore 64 emulator for the iPhone that uses like this virtual joystick that's almost completely uncontrollable. It's absolutely appalling. But pick through these things, and also generally avoid accelerometer-based games, I would say, and you can find some real little gems there. People have done very creative things with the limited controls on offer, making it a very viable gaming platform. As you can probably tell by the way I believe the games now noticeably outsell the PSP. I know that's not any great achievement, but PSP's dedicated games console, this is a thing for phoning your mum on. So, anyway, back to the iPad. Overall, pricey, but nice. Bit like a high-class prostitute.